Tasnime Akunjee joins me, criminal defence lawyer specialising in terrorism law, represents Shamima Begum's family and joins me now. Good afternoon to you.
Afternoon.
What are the implications of the Home Office saying, well, we appeal right back? Does that mean you're pretty much in the same position you were from her perspective?
Well, not quite, but in terms of on the ground, matters are no doubt delayed until the Supreme Court.
She stays put for now.
Indeed, she does. Mm-hmm. But as these decisions clock up and bounce from lower courts to higher courts, and the situation becomes clearer and the position solidifies with the concrete sets, and then we move forward based upon that solid ground, really.
So when did she find out that there was this chink of light?
Today.
Right, so she only found out today. Have you spoken to her?
I haven't, no. I'm her family's lawyer, but her solicitors have been in contact.
And how is she in herself?
I don't know that. No. That's okay. Between her and her.
Okay.
Lawyers.
I just wondered whether the family had shared that sense of how she was coping in that camp. So what happens now then? What flows from this?
So I think the Home Office have till Monday to apply for leave to appeal. I imagine that they'll be doing that. Those grounds that they levy will be considered on their own merits, and if the court or Supreme Court think that they have some arguments to be aired, then it will move forward and we'll have a hearing there, I'd imagine.
And the argument is that in the Al Hol camp, she couldn't make her case fair and square from inside that camp.
It's the Al Roj camp. She was in Al Hol.
Oh, she's in Al Roj now?
Yes. But yeah, that is the argument, and that was the argument that this Court of Appeal considered, basically.
Do the interviews that she gave at the time play a part here?
Not really, no. In terms of this court, it wasn't looking at any substantive issues. It was looking at the principle of it, and predominantly the conditions she's in and her ability to engage effectively with the appeal process. So the Home Secretary stripped her of citizenship according to a piece of legislation. That legislation gave Shamima Begum the right to appeal, but that is meaningless unless she can effectively engage that right. And that's what the court was deciding, really, on that point today.
Yes, it's worth just using the actual words, isn't it? This was Lord Justice Flow sitting with Lady Justice King, and Lord Justice Singh said, fairness and justice must, on the facts of this case, outweigh the national security concerns so that the leave to enter appeals should be allowed. And the judge also said that the national security concerns about her could be addressed and managed if she returned to the United Kingdom. Does that mean it's likely that if she did return to the United Kingdom, she would/could be in custody here?
It's possible. I'd imagine that it's probably more likely that she would be put under a TPIM order, which is some form of sort of house arrest incommunicado. But both options are available to the police and to the Home Office.
You know, I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, that there is a seam of opinion towards Shamima Begum, that no matter that she was 15 when she left, no matter that she was arguably anyway groomed into this by others, she didn't really do herself favours in some of those interviews, did she, by seeming to be so separate from any responsibility at all?
I'd be surprised if that was just a seam of opinion. I think that'd be the vast majority would agree with that.
There was some sympathy on calls for her. I
think that's a separate point. In terms of the issue of her not doing herself any favours, I think that's certainly true. And that is somebody who was a young girl who left the UK, has been steeped in the surroundings of ISIS in a relationship context, and then found herself through war in a refugee camp. So the expectation that she's going to be functioning like the average teenager that we know is probably a bit too far, but she certainly didn't do herself any favours. In terms of sympathy, that's not what's been argued here at all. Sympathy is a plea in mitigation in a criminal trial. She hasn't had the opportunity to have a criminal trial. The Home Office has pretty much done everything they can to accuse her of being a criminal, yet deny her and deny us the right to accuse her formally and then have 12 members of her peers judge her, really.
And also, I don't know about the Roj camp, but the reporting from the Al Hol camp at the time was that it was not a safe place and that she would have been watching her words there very carefully.
Well, bizarrely enough, when my clients, Shamima Begum's family, wrote a letter to Sajid Javed requesting that they simply don't stand in our way of helping bringing her baby back, well, the response from the government was it's too dangerous to send a British official there. Well, if the argument is that it's too dangerous for British officials to go, then it's certainly too dangerous to allow someone to stay there and try and mount a very complex appeal from that scenario.
So next steps, I suppose the Home Office doesn't have a great deal of time, does it, to try to counter appeal, because I guess the plane could be made ready quite easily to bring her home for the appeal to take place, for her appeal to take place.
Well, they've applied. I think they've got leave to apply for a stay in proceedings whilst they consider leave to appeal to the upper courts. So that means that the situation is frozen on the ground until a higher court agree to look at the matter and then judge on the matter. So I think Shamima Begum being moved anywhere due to these issues is not very likely at all.
Okay.
So I think in a few months' time we'll have seen a bit more progress around that.